You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button.
Well, Edgar's on his way to Baton Rouge here, just as are the Florida Gators. They'll leave out tomorrow, and it'll be another rendition of Tigers and Gators. Of course, for the last time for potentially the foreseeable future there with the cross-divisional game and divisions going away in the new scheduling. Edgar, before we get into the game, though, I do want to talk a little bit Billy Napier here because year two and coming off the loss to Arkansas and the way that all went down at the end of regulation and then in overtime, obviously you look forward to the future. Great recruiting class on deck, but what are the vibes, the feeling kind of surrounding Billy Napier here in year two in Gainesville?
There's a lot of consternation right now. He's 11-11, and there's just too many times that the football itself, it's like, okay, you're 11-11, you're 5-4, but it's kind of how you got here that people are upset about. It's not, they don't want 11-11, they don't want 5-4, but if they were losing games and not making all the mistakes, not giving away games effectively in a case or two, like the Arkansas game, all that mismanagement at the end of the game and the timeouts and all the things that they did wrong to put them in that jam at the end, I think people would be a little more forgiving and a little more positive. But when you see that repeatedly, time and again, not to be redundant, they've been seeing it since Utah. They've had 5 games, guys, where they have not had the right number of people on the field at one point. 5 out of 9 games. So they got to clean up that kind of stuff. And then I think people might start buying with the program a little bit more. As it stands, there's a lot of people that are really starting to check out on the Billy Napier era, which is not going to end this season or probably even at the end of next season, regardless of how it happens. But people don't want to have to grin and bear it and suffer through all this for maybe a payoff, 3 years from now or whatever.
So looking more at the teams, that was going to be my next question was, if there was a chance that he wouldn't be back. So moving on from that, looking at the team, I look at Graham Mertz, and I think that was one of the more intriguing quarterback additions into the conference this year. Obviously coming from Wisconsin, how would he fit in that Billy Napier offense? Graham Mertz, you just look at his numbers, he's having a career year, Edgar. So maybe why with him performing the way he has career year-wise has the offensive success maybe not followed as consistently?
I think the offense is starting to play a little better. I was looking at it a little bit today. They're averaging 33-7 in the last 4 games, 28-7 overall, which is not going to get it done. And you're throwing a 49-point effort against McNeese into that mix. So there have been some lackluster showings offensively, but it's getting a little better. But one of the things they're not doing, guys, is attacking downfield enough. They have, I believe, 4 completions of like 30 yards or more. Maybe it's 6. I don't have it right in front of me. It's not a lot. It's the fewest in the SEC. No, it's 10, 30 or longer, and I think 4, 40 or longer. LSU has 14, 40 or longer, and 26, 30 or longer. So that tells you a lot right there. Now they have neighbors, they have Thomas, they have Jaden Daniels. Mertz doesn't have Daniels' talent, and he certainly doesn't have neighbors and Thomas probably. But he does have some pieces that are developing. Eugene Wilson is one, Trey Wilson, really a nice little piece coming along. Ricky Pearsall's a good player. Arlis Fordingham, the tight end's emerging. So they're starting to get a little offensive traction. But Graham's not going to just attack a team downfield. He's more of, I would say, game manager, but he's going to more play within the scheme, which is still fairly conservative. Partly, I'll end on this, because the offensive line is the number one issue with this team is the O-line, because they're not able to create the balance and the run game that Billy Napier really wants to kind of hang his hat on.
Edgar, when I look at LSU's defense, I mean, obviously we've seen a unit that has struggled virtually, virtually all year long. How do you think that Florida, given everything that you just said, matches up against one of the bottom units in the league in LSU's defense? Is this a spot where Florida can flex its muscle a little bit on offense?
Potentially. I know the star defensive tackle, whose name I wouldn't try to butcher, is out with a leg injury, and that is going to help him maybe generate a little more push than usual or protect a little better. I mean, Harold Perkins has been disappointing, I know, but against a line like this, the kid might have a field day. So they just are struggling to protect. And that's going to be where it starts. They're going to have to keep Merz clean. Going to have to get some run game going to kind of, keep them guessing a little bit. I don't know what to expect. I haven't really dug in on LSU, like in terms of watching them a whole lot. You're always covering games on Saturdays, catching snippets of others. But you tell me. I mean, they're giving up 6.2, 4 yards of play, which is 13th in the league. Florida, though, is giving up 6, which is 12th in the league. So this is shaping up to be an old-fashioned shootout, whack style, really, with these defenses and offenses. But I just think LSU has a little more punch there, if not a lot. So it's going to be it's a big ask for Florida. There's a reason it's 13.5 points.
Yeah. Let's flip sides of the ball to the Gator defense. And obviously, look, this is week 2 now, I believe, without Shamar James, who's their leading tackler. How have they gone about replacing him?
Not very well. KJ Jefferson had a field day, and a lot of that was when the outside blitz couldn't really impact him, and he's take off up the middle. Now, they were also missing Cam Jackson, the Memphis transfer tackle, who's back 1 year, missed one game last week. He's a Louisiana kid, Haynesville. Tyreek Staff's back after missing a game. He's a high motor guy at the end position. And truly might be able to move inside a little bit more because there's a freshman, Kelby Collins, an Alabama kid, who's a freshman who's really starting to emerge. I really like him, number 11. That kid's got a future. He's a future star potentially, 270-something, and really moves well for his size. So they're going to be a little fully better stocked this week than they were. But Shamar James is hard to replace. Linebacker's a real issue with this team, has been for years. Jared Davis and Alex Anzalone were really the last time they had 2 really good ones, and those guys were very good. But they got a few in the chamber in recruiting, and that's going to really help. But for now, they're taking lumps there.
A couple more for you. Edgar Thompson is our guest from the Orlando Sentinel, covers the Florida Gators. She's on at Twitter at OS Gators. Special teams. I mean, look, we honestly could have probably started here, Edgar. Florida, you mentioned it in a previous answer. It's kind of gone all the way back to the Utah game to open the season in week 0. Why has Florida struggled so much on special teams?
Well, you mentioned offense, and we talked about inconsistency. Great example. Arkansas goes up 14-0 quickly. Nice drive, fluke play, strip and Pearsall for a strip fumble touchdown. And Florida comes back, boom, boom, goes 5 series, 1 field goal, 4 punts, 6 series, and 5 punts, 1 field goal, I think it was actually. And that's the offensive inconsistency everyone's upset about. Well, college plays, Billy Napier. You know what happens when you're the play caller and the head coach and the quarterback's coach? Oh, and you run NIL. Oh, yeah, and you're the lead recruiter because he's an excellent recruiter. They got the number 3 class. Special teams is getting neglected. There's a lack of oversight in certain areas. And the big issue is Billy doesn't have a special teams coach designated. He has an analyst who can't be involved at the level that a coach can. Things are falling through the cracks when Billy's trying to do too much potentially. I just think there's going to have to be some fundamental changes with Billy inside and kind of just how he accepts that he's going to have to do things a little differently than he did him at Louisiana. And there's going to have to be a couple of staff shifts or changes, if not a firing, and a couple of moves made, whether it's OC and a special teams guy, however he wants to do it. Maybe assign special teams to someone already on staff. But there's just a lot of things that need to be addressed this offseason. But special teams has been abhorrent. There have been breakdowns, too many guys on the field. Now, look, the return game's starting to show a little something. The kicking game with Trey Smack has been very strong. His missed field goal last week, the first he's missed all year, other than one that was blocked. It was nothing to do with him. But there was a bad snap and hold that cost them an extra point in a game that went to overtime. So that's another one. So it's like, I mean, I can go on and on. The problems have been legion on special teams, and it's really just a bad look.
Yeah, I mean, look, and LSU fans can sympathize. They've had their problems with special teams here, definitely last year and at some points this year as well. Last one for you here, Edgar, before we let you go. If Florida is to come into Tiger Stadium and get the win on Saturday and snap the 4-game losing streak, what's the key to making that happen for the Gators?
They're going to have to force. There's got to be a couple of unique situations, right? I mean, if you're, and that's pretty obvious. They're going to have to force a turnover and maybe get a short field or something, return a punt, do some stuff like that. But I'll tell you one way I would look at it is I would try to sustain some drives. Because like Billy even said, when you're on that field and the LSU offense is on the sideline, that's a good thing. So sustaining drives is going to be key. Just a clean operation or a cleaner operation. So I would say sustaining drives, cleaner operation, force some sort of a turnover, short field, if not multiple situations like that, which the Gators haven't done well. The Gators have very, very few takeaways this year, like 5 maybe. One of the fewest in the nation, some of the fewest in the nation. So there's a lot of rebuilding to do with this program. He says they're in the middle of it. A lot of fans are already at wit's end with it. I think Billy's going to get enough time to try to turn this thing around. The recruiting is good, and he's playing a lot of young players, and that's going to bode well for the future. But in the present, there's a lot of growing pains, and I think they're going to suffer some more of them on Saturday night, to be honest.
Edgar Thompson on Twitter at OS Gators. Y'all give him a follow. Covers Florida for the Orlando Sentinel. Edgar, we appreciate the time, and we'll do it again soon.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.